All right, welcome everybody. I am Pete Lunenfeld, CEO of Current Wave AI, and I am joined today by the wonderful Geoff Shimp, VP of Technology at StagePoint Federal Credit Union. And today we're going to be talking about unlocking knowledge. And I'm really lucky today because usually we have this conversation with business owners, CEOs, but today we have a technologist. And as a guy who spent his whole career in technology, I have to tell you, Geoff, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we can get all geeky and have that fun stuff. So,
No.
to get started, tell me about who you are, how you got into credit unions, and how you ended up at StagePoint.
Yeah. So again, Geoff Shimp. I was in the Marine Corps, and when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I applied to 400 jobs across the country, and I got a job in Wyoming at a credit union. And I was like, I've had Navy Fed since I was six, so obviously I know credit unions, right? And I didn't really understand how the money moved, right? I just knew that my money was in my account. Didn't really understand the backside, and so I joined the credit union and I learned so much, and I'm still learning a ton. But I really fell in love with the whole credit union member focus, member facing, taking care of members. I really liked that and enjoyed it. And I moved from my previous credit union to StagePoint over a year and a half ago. And I love it here and I love continuing working with credit unions.
So, did you get your technical training in the Marine Corps, or did you learn it like on the job here?
No, I was a communications officer in the Marine Corps for 11 and a half years. That's where I learned all my IT things. And then I'm continuing to learn more and more, especially as AI and things grow these days. Technology is constantly changing.
Oh man, is that the truth? A long time ago, someone asked me, "Well, you're a tech guy. Why are you always stressed out?" And I'm like, "You know how like a doctor can't go to medical school in 1972 and just be done, right? Like you can't like take technical training and just be finished. Like the world keeps changing around you, and in technology, that's times 10. And in the AI world, it's times 100, right? Like so let's talk about that a little bit. As a technologist I'll call you on the purchasing end of it, right? When AI came out, what were you thinking? What did you see as opportunities, risks, all that?
I was like probably about a majority of the world. I heard AI. I thought of Skynet. And my time in the Marine Corps, security is a big aspect, especially now in financial institutions. And so I was like, oh, nope, nope. I'm going to stay away from all of that AI stuff because that's just scary. Um, but then, I mean, that was, 2019, 2020, when it really started becoming big. And then you'd hear the horror stories of people putting the wrong information out there on the AI. And then we started actually using you guys, right? So we needed a way to make it easier for our employees to know what we had, what knowledge we had, and how to ask those types of questions. So we started using AI, and you guys were you guys were like the gateway drug, right? We, we started using AI, and it was like it's not that scary. It's great, and I take this quote from my mom. I actually have it on my whiteboard here. AI is an employee, right? So it's an employee. You're employing AI to do tasks, and those tasks are making it easier for your real employees to do their jobs. So that's all AI is. It's a tool. It's an employee. We're making things easier, and AI is really, really good with data manipulation and understanding data. And what do financial institutions deal with? Is data. Money is data. There isn't money. Money isn't really the dollars that you have in your wallet, right? If your wife allows you to have your dollars in your wallet, right? It's the ones and zeros, and then it's also the member data, right? So what types of loans are our members getting? What are their credit scores like? And you can feed that to AI. If you strip all of the PII, you can feed the raw data to AI, and it can help you understand what you're doing in your business and what you're doing for your membership and what they need. It's a tool, and if you give it its left and right lateral limits, it can do great things for you. Because I mean, You don't have to spend days upon days programming and doing the whole um, oh, that's there. I meant that one to be a zero. After hours of looking through your strings of code, now you just feed it to AI and you can get that code. You can look at it, you can have your human eyes on it and verify it, but it makes it so much faster. Accountants having 6 different spreadsheets, and they're like, so that's there, and then that one's there, and then now we're going to reconcile in hours. You just give them a tool, AI can reconcile all of their accounting spreadsheets together, and now your accountant's not spending 6 hours every day reconciling. They're
Doing
doing
doing the drudge work, right?
yes.
I think what you said is so perfect. I have this conversation a lot where I'll tell people, "Hey, we run an AI company," and they're like, "Oh, that's really scary." And I'm like, "You overestimate our capabilities, right?" And I think that punchline of it's a tool in with all the other tools in your toolbox. Sometimes it's the right tool, sometimes it's not the right tool, but it's just a tool. Now, you have to be careful. If you give your toddler a chainsaw, it's going to be bad, right? Don't do that. But if you have the right, like you said, the guardrails up, it's remarkably safe. I did like a just kind of like a conference meeting yesterday, and it just happened to be a bunch of attorneys. So you can't get if there's any attorneys listening, don't take this the wrong way, but they tend to be a non-technical group of people, right? They talk for a living. That's just what they do. And I had showed them our Current Wave app. And one of the guys came to me afterward. He goes, I had no idea. And I was all ready for the how amazing and capable the software was, right? Because we're proud of it, of course. And he's like, no, no, no. Yeah, that's fine, but no, that's not what I meant. He goes, I just hear about AI. He goes, I had never actually seen it used. And he said, so I get stuck with all of he had in his head all of these million permutations of the horror show. But when he sees it actually used in real life, he's like, oh, that's kind of straightforward and basic. And I'm like, correct. Right. So let's loop that back into what you guys did with at SharePoint, sorry, StagePoint for us. Talk about the knowledge management problem you had before we came in and how we helped you solve it.
So we have over 600 documents right now in our current wave in Geoff, as our employees have decided to name it, right? So think about without AI, without current wave being able to go search through all those really quickly and find our answers, you have to go to your SharePoint site or you have them printed off in this huge binder, which if you do print them off, they are then at that point not updated at all,
They're
right?
stale.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to go back and physically reprint, and that's thousands of dollars in trees and whatever you want to complain about, right? Even if it's on SharePoint, you have to go through all 600 documents. Now, in loans, their loans department has like 30 different procedures for all their different types of loans and everything like that. You don't know which procedure you need to look at. So you're going to read every single procedure until you find the one specific answer you needed. And if you have a member sitting in front of you, that's time wasted. You're looking like a fool in front of your member. So with Current Wave, we have all of those uploaded into SharePoint, and we have connected you to our SharePoint. And so every time one of our management staff updates a policy or procedure, it automatically gets digested into Geoff, right? And now the employee can be sitting there on the line. How do I close a savings account? Within 15 seconds or so, they have an answer and it tells them exactly how to do it. And then there's the sources. The greatest thing about it, I find, as you know, as the management side, is we don't know if some of our procedures are missing things because we just know like how to do stuff. We've been doing it for so long. So we get the new employee in who asks Geoff, hey, how do I do this? And Geoff's like, I don't know. So then they can flag it and it goes to our management staff like, oh, we've been doing that forever, but we never actually inputted it into our procedure. So let's go ahead and update our procedures. So as we do get new employees in, they actually have the knowledge on their fingertips to do their job.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought that up. I think when we pitch our product to folks, what gets them immediately is the fast answer, right? Because before the AI tool, even if an organization like StagePoint, you guys had a pretty organized set. I'll tell you, not everybody does, but you guys were pretty on top of it. You still have the real life problem of if Pete, the teller that you hired last week, needs to find something, even if you have it all, Pete the teller is not going to be able to find it fast, right? And if he's in front of a member or has a member on the phone, it's minutes and minutes and minutes before Pete can figure out where to find that answer or to get that task done. So the AI right off the bat, Pete asks the question, gets the answer in seconds. Everybody's happy, right? We always make the joke though. Members never give you credit for answering faster. They only punish you if you answer slow, right? That's
Exactly.
just
Yep.
how it is.
Nope.
But you underlined the most important part where people hire us for this fast answer thing, but what they really end up falling in love with is it's going to be hilarious that I say this, but we brag that our AI will say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So if Pete the teller says, I'm making this up, how do I close this account for a deceased relative? If that's missing in the documentation, the AI will say, I don't know, but our software will then tell your team, your management team, hey, someone asked a question that was not available. So first, the AI didn't lie and say the wrong thing, which is important. But the big thing is now it becomes trivial for your management team to go, oh, let's go plug that hole. Let's go write a paragraph into the document on that missing thing. Like, can you give any examples of where you guys had that happen?
Um, yes. So savings, or not savings. Why am I blinking on the boxes? Safety pots boxes. Okay. So we had a specific pricing for them for members or for non-members, and our procedures did not have the correct pricing in there. So our employees were asking the question, and they were giving the wrong information to members. And our management staff was like, "Whoa, where are you getting that?" And they're like, "Oh, Geoff told me," because Geoff is smart and knows everything, right? And so then we looked at it, and we're like, "Oh, no, that actually is wrong." And so we went and updated our procedure to have the correct fees in there because we didn't think about it. We just knew what the correct fees were, but we had new employees who hadn't been there long enough and did not know off the top of their head. And when they were told, if you don't know a question and you can't ask a manager, anyone's around, ask Geoff, and Geoff should be able to provide the answer for you.
Well, isn't that a funny thing? Like, how big is your credit union as far as employees?
We have 35-ish employees.
Gotcha. So I mean, you guys are small, but you're not tiny, right? How much knowledge you find out is in people's noggins,
Mm-hmm.
right? We call it tribal knowledge, right? Where it's just not written down, and you don't realize it's not written down until that person who knows it has the day off.
Yeah, we went through a merger, right? We went through a
Oh,
merger
right.
right when we started using Current Wave, and it was a fantastic tool for the new staff who did not use the same core that we were using on how to learn how to use the core. And as they go live date, they're getting flushed with a whole bunch of members coming in with all of their issues and getting their new debit cards and new account, all that kind of stuff. And it was fluid because if they had questions, they could go to Geoff and ask those questions. Now we also had a flux of management staff on site, for that too. But yes, the tool is there, and it was easy for them to use. So they knew, and if you're going through mergers and acquisitions, the greatest loss is the knowledge. They might not use the same core, or they might not do policies the same way or procedures the same way, even if they are using the same core. So having the knowledge base there and the easy ability to search it, because you're just Googling it, right? You're Googling it inside Current Wave. It makes it easier. And then again, our management staff has now started asking questions to Current Wave to GF to find where they're missing in those products. Where are they missing in the policies? Where are they missing in the procedures? The idea that they can now make quizzes, right? So we can make quizzes in current wave on our policies and procedures. So our branch managers are making quizzes on our policies and procedures, and they're making it open book. Ask these in Geoff. So they're training their staff to ask the questions and how to ask the questions, because you may get the question wrong, or Geoff might not know the answer because you didn't ask it correctly, right? So they're training both in how to find the knowledge and what the knowledge is.
It's amazing, right? Like knowledge, we always think of a knowledge base
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we all started, right? Like, oh, I just need a place to go put my knowledge. And now we've evolved it into this like continuous improvement loop, right? Put stuff in, people use it, you figure out where you need to improve the stuff, you improve it, people use it, and it's one of those things that it's kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the better it gets.
Mm-hmm.
The more people rely on it, the more questions get put through, the more you surface flaws in either the AI, which is possible. You guys know that we train the AI for StagePoint all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
also the real magic is you're finding those gaps and those limitations in your knowledge that you've saved, which are also now always in this continual loop of improvement, right? And you blink and it's 6 months later, or you blink, it's a year and a half later, and you're like, oh, we are better at this now, right? Did you guys
Yep.
have that experience?
Yeah, they're the people who have been using current wave the longest understand how to ask the questions better, right? So we got a new hire recently, and you can see that they're asking the questions different. Like they're used to the Google type of question answering, right? But they're learning, and they already have said that they like the tool because it's easy. And some people, some new hires, don't like to go talk to their manager to ask them the question because they're like, I don't want to seem like I don't know what I don't know. And this is here for them. They don't have to go bug, and they can, hey, I am actually smart because I actually know the answer, even though I asked the AI for it. But hey, it's 2026. AI's
Dude,
there.
that is so true. And th this is kind of an aside, but we've seen this kind of funny generational divide, right? The people that are, I'm a little older than Jeff, if you guys didn't know this. My generation's still a little like, I want to go talk to a person, right? But the younger generation is not only comfortable talking to the machine, but prefers it, right? And that becomes a lot of the game of training people that, hey, if you use the AI tool, your life got easier, right? Sometimes we have to do a little bit of a little nudge to get, especially the older people, to use it once or twice, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Google, right? The first time you use Google, like, I don't get this, right? This seems stupid. Like, I'm just going to go back to the Encyclopedia Britannica, right? But now we're all used to it. Um, so anyway, let me change the subject because I could go off on that. I think the generational thing with using technology is like a fascinating subject, but you're an IT guy, right? At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, you're a technologist. So sometimes when we talk to the CEOs of the world, they're like, this sounds great. Hey, Jeff, go implement it, right? Like they're like, I made the decision. Now it's someone else's job. Okay. As the guy whose job it was to implement this, like, what did you think about? What did you worry about? What did you find easy, hard? Like talk to our other technology brothers and sisters.
Yeah. So my first worry, obviously, always is security, right? But it's policies and procedures. As long as you don't have, you're not saving your passwords and your usernames in your policies or procedures, right? You don't have member data in your policies and procedures. As long as that's clean, everyone has the same generic policies because we all are credit unions. We all have to meet the same standards. We may have some nuances, but it's generically the same. Procedures, everyone using the same core is going to have generically the same procedures and how they do things, right? So when it comes down to security aspect, it's just making sure what's in the documents is clean. And you shouldn't be putting your passwords and usernames in those documents to begin with, anyways. Uh, that's just general knowledge. But digress. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be difficult to get people." So the technology side of it, you gave a color coded, great. I could give it to a knuckle dragging grunt in the Marine Corps, and they could follow those instructions, right? And get it connected to Azure and get it connected to SharePoint. It was pretty easy. What,
I think
15-minute call?
I think between us, we had you implemented like in a day,
Yeah,
basically.
it wasn't the technological implementation of it wasn't too hard. The change management aspect of it, right? So getting people to, hey, if you have a question, go to Geoff, right? Go use it. And then how are you asking the question? And then the really big one was put a flag in. I mean, IT people have this everywhere, right? If you're on IT help desk, you're always struggling to get people to submit their IT tickets because they never do. And then as soon as they see you, they're like, "Hey, I've had this problem for about 6 weeks. Why haven't you fixed it yet?" And you're like, "Well, I don't have a ticket." Same with the flags, right? If you ask the questions and the questions aren't getting answered, whether it be the AI doesn't know where it is in the file or it's not in the file at all, you need to put the flag in. So it was getting the people of StagePoint to understand what the tool is and how to use it. Now, if we were a larger organization, we may have implemented it to just a department, right? And then work through those kind of kinks. And then we would have had some people who could have gone out to the other departments and said, "Hey, this is a great tool. You need to use it and help us train the trainers." But we're small. So we implemented it. And then it was just, again, teaching the people how to use it. I think the technological implementation is not hard, and it's understanding that it isn't hard. And AI makes it even easier these days when it comes to connecting to Azure or making it, it say, "Hey, follow this step, copy and paste this into here, and you'll be fine." I think non-IT people could follow instructions pretty easily. It's understanding what information you're putting into the system is where the security risk is, right? So again, making sure your documents are clean and there isn't anything that should not be publicly known in there because it shouldn't be on SharePoint anyways, right? If it can't be on
In
SharePoint,
essence, SharePoint is as public as the AI tools, right?
yeah, yeah. So I
Um,
mean, if you have it on SharePoint, you can put it in Current Wave. But if you shouldn't be putting it in SharePoint, you should not be putting it in Current Wave. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. I think what gets everyone is it's AI, and I'm allowing AI into my system. And it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. You're giving the AI its left and right lateral limits. This is the only folder you can access.
well, and I think you bring up a couple really good points we should double click on. So the first is the implementation from a technology point of view is surprisingly the easiest part. Like I think folks hear, oh, AI, and it's going to be, I guess we'll have to take Q4 to do the implementation. No, we could like take Tuesday and do the implementation, right?
Yep.
So what that leaves us with is understanding what the limitations and best practices are. And I think security is the first place to start. And then you're right, the human change management, let's face it, always the hardest part. It just is, like humans, right? So let's talk a little bit about the security. So we think of it on the current wave side, and I want to then hear what you think of it on the CU side, is we think primarily on basic computer security that we would implement, whether it was AI or not, right? Like, do we have role-based permissions? Check, right? Do we have the ability to segregate your data from everyone else's data physically? Check, right? Do we encrypt everything at motion and at rest? Check, right? These are the things that you would expect any software to do, whether it was AI or not. So then we have the, okay, and funny aside, this is early when AI was still really fresh for everybody, like in 2023. I know that sounds like 100 years ago. In AI it is, but not really. I had a CEO of a credit union say, "Hey, I love your product, but I just can't afford to have the AI take over my credit union." And it was kind of funny because she was dead serious. And at the time, not crazy because the things she was hearing in the general media was so outlandish. And like you said, Skynet. But first, that way overestimated the capability in 2023. And then frankly, in 2026 too, like we can't take over anything but. It's a computer system, right? We 100% control, like, so our AI, read only, all day long. It can read your policies and procedures, but it can't change them. It can't create anything. It has no tentacles back into your system for anything, right? So automatically we're like on the safety rating of, 0 to 10, we're already at 2, right? Of being safe. And then what's left is, what do you feed it? And this is what you said. So the biggest thing for us is sensitive PII, member information. We scan for that already, right? Because that's something we can have a model. Like if somebody asks, what is Geoff Shimp's, you know, home address? Well, we automatically can detect already that Geoff Shimp is a name and we're just going to block it, right? Now, you could whitelist it if you need to, but we're already like 99% of that worry down, other than just basic hygiene that you already mentioned, you have to do anyway.
Yeah, it's it again. It's a tool, right? A shovel will not dig a hole by itself, right? So you,
By the way, note for good ideas for later. Okay.
Marines would love that, right? So a shovel can't dig a hole by itself. The current wave cannot replicate our entire system and do everything in our system by itself. You have to give it permissions, and it also has to know how to do that kind of stuff, right? So whatever permissions you set in Azure is exactly what it can and cannot do. It does. There isn't some like soft on and off button that it can go find and click.
Right.
It's set in its thing. So again, like you said, it's just down to the documents and what you're putting into it. It has its left and right lateral limits, and as long as you are keeping your documents clean, like they should be, then you'll be fine.
So you have implemented this and now lived with it well over a year, right? Meaning you and StagePoint. So what lessons would you like to share, good or bad or indifferent, for your credit union brothers and sisters who might be thinking about this? Like what do you want them to did what would you want them to know?
One, it's not scary, right? It has the AI name into it, but it's not scary. It's 2026. Everyone everywhere is using AI, whether it be for fraud analysis, trend analysis of loans, what have you. Almost every single company is going to be implementing their own type of AI or throwing AI's name onto something. It's not scary. Two, like we said, it's a tool. So it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do. Three, it only can do as well as the information that it's given, right? So not only is it depending on what information's in the procedures and policies, but it's also how the procedures and policies are written. So you can't have a really, really, really smart person write a procedure for someone who doesn't know anything about the system at all, because that person is most likely going to glaze over a whole bunch of steps because like, oh, that's normal. So scrub your procedures. Policies are generally easy to flow through. It's the procedures, right? So making sure your procedures are made for the newest person at your credit union. Um, and then it's okay if current wave AI only answers 78% of the questions that are asked, because I personally would rather have a low answering rate, because then that means that one, we're having a whole bunch of questions asked, hopefully, right? So hopefully it's not 78 out of 3 questions. But they're asking the questions and we're finding that our procedures are failing. And so we're learning and we're training our procedures to be better. And so as our procedures are better, our new employees are stronger at the start and not having to wait the whole 6 months for a strong employee. They can, hey, 1 week, they've done all their training, they're ready to go. They have all the tools necessary.
Man, that is so perfectly said. I think the number one objection we hear from folks is, oh, this sounds great, but our documentation's a mess, right? We don't want a garbage in, garbage out situation. And that's like technically correct, but directionally wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
The truth is that, because I always ask, well, this messy documentation you have now, is that what people are using today? And they're like, yeah, but AI is going to make it worse. And I'm like, time out. AI will just make it more of the same, right? In fact, the real win is let the AI find you what to fix first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you don't have to fix stuff. By the way, that never goes away, right? The fixing stuff is a forever problem, right? Because your business changes, your products change, regulations change. The trick is having a tool to tell you what you need to fix today, because you might have 1,000 problems. But if you know the top three to fix this week, oh man, that's a win, right? Because
Exactly.
1,000 is too much. Three is doable. And just to close it out, um, any because I could just keep talking about this forever if you let me. Uh, any final closing words that you'd like your credit union brothers and sisters to know?
It's the way of the future. And credit unions deal in data, and anything that credit union management staff can do to ease the burden on members, whether it be time in the credit union, because now our employees know how to get the answer faster, or we get it translated, right? They have the translation in there in current wave. So anything that you can do to make your members happier, get their money faster, right? Because it's their money and they want it now. Do it. And it's on the management staff to go do it. So tools like Current Wave AI are out there to make it easier for members to get what they need and get it done quickly and get in and out and be happy.
Love it. I couldn't said it better. So, Geoff Shimp, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
I know everyone who listens to this is gonna have learned a ton. So, my friend, you have a great one. Appreciate you, and we'll talk another time.
Yep, you have a good one.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye.